Is there anything particularly wrong and particularly off for a man to take her husband's surname after marriage? That's the question I want to answer today. And I want you to follow me so that you get an understanding of this journey and everything that you need to understand regarding this. I'll be right back. Let me start that there is no law, neither is there any custom that I know of, right? Based on any of the tribes that I know of. And I also do not know of any religion that insists that a woman must take the surname of her husband as after marriage. Not only that, there is also none of these laws that forbids a man from taking his wife's surname after marriage. So it's at your discretion. You are there to choose whichever one you want. In fact, the Bible, as far back as Ezra chapter 2, verse 61, a man took the family name of his wife to be his own surname, right? So if that could happen several years before Jesus Christ, and this is 2022 years after, there's nothing wrong if as a man you choose to take the name of your wife. Trust me, the purpose of name is for identity and also for influence, right? So if my wife's surname has more influence than my surname out there, it is wisdom for me. The wise decision will be for me to take her surname if her surname will open more doors for me, right? Now, several years ago, long before now, people answered only one name. So you were either known as Alright, or you were known as Vivian, or you were known as James, Josephine, or whatsoever name you were called, right? But then for women that were married, it was easy to identify a married woman and a single woman. And the trick was simple. For a woman that was single, she would still answer her name, for example, Vivian. But for a woman who was married, she would have to take her husband's name to join her name. For example, she will use something like Vivian, wife of Alright. So she'll be addressed as Vivian, wife of Alright. That way you know which particular Vivian you are talking about. Then the time came, there was this concept of, when a man marries a woman, the two of them becomes one. And the question becomes, which one are they? Which one are they? Are they one towards the woman, or they are one towards the man? And the conclusion was that they are one towards the man. Being one towards the man automatically meant that the family name, the name they needed to answer, then became that of the man, because it became one towards the man. And not just that, another purpose why women had to take their husband's name was the social benefits, the social status that came along with it. Before now, women had no education, they had no right to education, they could not vote, they could not do many things, right, except in the name of their father or in the name of their husband. Right. So for women who were married, they needed to take their husband's name to enjoy the social status and the social class of their husband. And we see it every day. I remember the story of Margaret Bense Idahosa, and I hope I'm still getting the story correctly. There was a time that she was answering before now. She was answering Margaret Idahosa. Idahosa be the surname of her husband, late Archbishop Benson Andrew Idahosa. And one time she was late for her flight and the plane was about to taxi when one of the attendants just asked, Margaret Idahosa, this Idahosa, are you in any way connected to the Archbishop Idahosa? And she said yes, that she was the widow of the Archbishop. And guess what? The plane was stopped for her to join, for the plane to continue. And when she came down from that flight, when she returned from that particular trip, she changed her name from Margaret Idahosa to Margaret Benson Idahosa. So the moment you hear Margaret Benson Idahosa, you don't need somebody to tell you that this person must be the wife or a very close relative to the late Archbishop Benson Andrew Idahosa. That's the purpose of a name. That's the purpose of surname. That was the purpose, one of the primary reasons why women took the surnames of their husbands. Their husbands already, based on the imbalance at that time, because okay, we had more men working and we had more women keeping the home, which was very good for society, which made society thrive better than society and communities are doing now, because the women were in charge of the home and in charge of the ran the home and ran the family, while the men ran the society and made the society and the home safer for these women, and also made the money and provided the resources with which and by which these women ran the home. For me, I feel that was a better society that we're having right now. But then, because women were more or less like always in the home, always in the local community and neighborhood, and the men were the ones who were always out there making money, making a name for the family, making a name for themselves, rising up the ranks of the social classes and the social status. Women needed to answer their husband's name to enjoy that benefit, right? Take for example, I did not want my wife to change her name after we got married. I have no issues with your father, and I don't think there's anything bad if you decide to continue answering your father's surname, which is a thief name. There's nothing wrong with that. But after years, like about 2 years, 3 years thereabout of our marriage, she decided to take my first name as her surname, Alright. Why? Why did she not take my surname, which is Egbe, but she decided to take my name, Alright? Because out there, the name Alright is more popular in the circles and in the places where I belong to than Egbe. It is easier for people to remember Alright. It is easier for people to connect with Alright than with Egbe. And interestingly, I use my pen name and stage name more, which is Earl Alright. Although in official documents, I use Egbe Alright. So she's like, if she picks Egbe as her surname and she goes in the circle of my colleagues who are lawyers, or in places where people know me as a counselor and the rest, nobody will be able to attach Egbe to me if she answers Egbe. But Alright, anywhere anyone hears Vivian Alright, they always want to ask, oh, are you connected to Alright that is a lawyer? Are you connected to Alright that is a counselor? These were the reasons why women needed to take this name. They could use their husband's name to obtain a loan, to buy things on credit. Yes, in those days, because their husband may have gone to war, or may be on sea for several months, or they may be in the mines mining, right? So these women could use their name as credit and on credit. They could use their names to have doors open to them and to enter places where ordinarily their first name will not make them enter, right? So those are the reasons why they had to take the names. But these days, those reasons are beginning to go down a little bit, because women themselves now have education, they now have jobs, they now also have shared social class and the rest. So they are also able to build a name for themselves, have a name for themselves. So if you have a wife that has a better surname, a sweeter surname, a more meaningful surname, a surname that is more influential, a influential out there that can open more doors, that can create more doors, take the name. There's nothing wrong with that. I've seen people who have done it. And I mentioned earlier on that even as far as Bible days, in Ezra chapter 2, verse 61, somebody did it, right? And not just that, we are not just talking about that. If your wife's line of inheritance depends on her answering the family name, then please answer her name. I remember the women that came to meet Moses and said that their father had died and their uncles and relatives did not want them to inherit any of their properties. And he took the matter to God. And God said, hey, they have a right to inherit, where that comes with a particular term and condition. They can inherit if they marry into the family, right? But if they marry outside the family, that means if they are going outside their family by marriage, which also literally means that they are taking their husband's surname, then they cannot inherit their father's property, because those property and those assets are tied to the surname. If I were a man and I was outside that family and I want to marry such a lady, because I wouldn't want my wife to lose out from that inheritance, I will take her surname, because it will not make me appear as if I came into the family, rather than it appearing as if the woman left her family to marry outside. So it will look as if I came into the family to marry inside the family and remain inside the family. These things are just simple wisdom. They are not things we have to be fighting about. Oh, she has to answer my name, this and that. I have asked myself a question, and I've asked other colleagues who are counselors and who are also lawyers. And this is the question I'm going to be asking you right now. What is that one benefit a man enjoys when his wife answers his name? If you know those benefits that he enjoys, kindly write them in the comment section. I'll be looking out for them. So it's not a big deal. I know some people will say, oh, I want my children to answer my name. Hey, trust me, right? The biggest people we remember them because of themselves, not because of their children. A.W. Kenyon, because of him. That's why we remember him. Not because of the children he gave birth to. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, John the Baptist, Peter, St. Paul, name it. Name it. Awolowo, if you are in Nigeria, right? Awolowo, Aneni, Enahoro, we Ojukwu, we remember this name, Shehu Shagari, because of the things they did, not because of the children keeping their names. Right? So if you want to be remembered, if you want your name not to die, if you want your name to still be in the lips of people 10 generations from now, do things that will make people remember you. Don't give birth to children. It is not children that make people remember you. It is the works that you did